My name is Anthony. I'm 22 currently, and before I reached out to Emily, it's a very messy history. Before I reached out, I was definitely suffering with anorexia. For reference, I'm 6'2", and I got all the way down to 130 pounds, and then maintained 140 pounds for a little over a year. And right before I reached out, I don't like to say that I had full on binge eating disorder, but it got very bad and I gained about 45 pounds in the span of a month and a half. And I felt so lost as to what to do because I heard so much like conflicting information online. Like some people said, oh, like the hunger and like cravings like will go away eventually if you just like keep like letting yourself eat. And then other people said like, no, you have to like stop right away. So I started getting into a cycle like I would like heavily restrict one day because I was like, oh, I'm gonna like stop this completely, and then it just would keep going. And I felt so lost that I had to reach out for help. My rock bottom, I remember looking at myself one night in the mirror, and it was right after I had basically like binged out the whole day. And I just remember looking in the mirror and I just did not recognize who I was anymore. For a long time, people knew me kind of as like the healthy guy, like the fit guy, like, oh, he's always like, he's exercising, like he's always like regimented with his food and stuff. So as soon as I had lost that identity, I didn't have my muscle definition anymore because I was extremely bloated. I had water retention so bad that like genuinely just looking in the mirror, my face was puffy, everything was puffy. I just didn't know who I was anymore. And I genuinely thought I couldn't fix this on my own. And that was a really big hit to my pride because I had always solved all of my issues that I've had in life, like thus far on my own. So it was really rough looking into services such as Emily, where I knew I needed the help, and I just knew I couldn't dig myself out of this hole by myself. Working with Emily was definitely interesting. For the first, I would say half of it, I was almost afraid of what she was going to say to me because like I wanted to do certain things that I thought were normal, but I knew if I said it to someone like Emily, I thought she was going to like almost be like a teacher and like slap me on the wrist and be like, no, we're not going to do that. But she was actually very receptive to where I was in my situation. She was very helpful in helping me challenge what I thought I had to do. In my situation, I was suffering with just a lot of binge eating and just overeating to like being very uncomfortable to the point where I didn't want to move. And obviously, in my mind, I thought if I could just like restrict my way out of it, that would be the solution. But no, she challenged my thinking. To me, I was like, there's no way this is going to work. And here I am 16 weeks later, and I'm happy to say that basically all of the issues I came to Emily with have been basically gone now. And I'm very hopeful and looking forward to the future for once as a change. Working with Emily was definitely necessary for me to break the patterns I was in. I wanted to go off on my own and tell myself that I know like what to do like to get out of this. Like sooner or later, like that would crack and I would revert back to old habits. But knowing that I had someone there who, no matter what, was going to be on my side and someone that I could confide in if things were hard really made the journey easy because like if I was struggling and I would try to keep it to myself, it would only last for so long. And then there were many instances where I would text Emily, I'd be like, I can't believe like this is happening. Like I'm just going through it right now. I need to say it. And just getting it out of the system is so helpful. It completely changes your mindset in that given moment. And then you can actually make decisions that you know are in line with your goals simply because you know you have someone there that you can talk to, even if you don't talk to them. Your problems will never seem bad enough to you in the moment. I convinced myself that it was not that bad. And I only recognize it now that I'm fully out of that situation, that I was really in a bad place and I just wouldn't recognize it at the time. And even like loved ones in my life were super worried about me, but I didn't understand why they were worried about me. And then even when it came to binge eating, um, I didn't really think it was that bad until I had my rock bottom moment. You're never going to feel as if it's time to reach out, and a lot of it can be like like an issue of pride. Like for me, my health and my fitness was a source of pride, but it was also a sense of failure when I knew I wasn't living up to these absurd standards that I had set for myself. So when I knew I couldn't help myself anymore, I was ashamed to have to seem like I needed help and to reach out to someone who could help me. But sometimes I think it's best to just, even if you don't think it's bad, even to just have like a quick conversation with someone who is qualified to where they can actually give you a realistic assessment of like your habits and they can point you in the direction. Even if you're not willing to hear it at the time, it's very worth it in the long run. My relationship with food now, I would like to, I guess, like describe it as just not serious anymore. I remember before I had reached out to Emily, I would basically like plan my whole days of like what I was going to eat like the day before, just because I was like, well, like that way I don't have to think in the moment if it will fit like my macros or my calories or whatever. So it took away that. I used to get really like kind of stressed out if I knew I was going out to eat because since I was so regimented and restricted, like whenever I like there wasn't like an event or anything, like if someone invited me out to eat, like it was almost like an excuse to just binge because I was like, well, like it's like a once in a while thing. Like it doesn't matter if I do this. So it's definitely helped me connect with the people in my life a lot more. I'm also not like the just odd one out. Like if I do go out with like friends, for example, and like let's say like the food options aren't like the healthiest. I used to just like not like get anything. I'd like get water or like a diet soda, for example. But no, like I'll actually eat with them because like eating has become like a social thing now. About 2 weeks ago, it was my sister's birthday, and before I last year when I was really going through it, I basically almost had like the entire birthday cake, and the only reason I didn't stop, like, I didn't finish it, was because we actually had to give some to my brother's girlfriend who wasn't there. This year, I had a slice of cake. I was actually content, but then my sister asked me if I wanted to share another half, and I was like, sure, why not? And I had that, and that was good. And I left it. I didn't think about it so much. Overall, for like a relationship with food and relationship with exercise, I'm just more at peace. And I would say that both now actually contribute to my life rather than take away from it as it used to.